So the ANC's National Electoral Committee has made public the names of candidates who have made it onto the ballot. So in the race for president, as expected, you've got Cyril Ramaphosa versus Willem Mkhize. Ramaphosa has over 2,000 branch nominations. Mkhize is just under 1,000. For the race for DP, that's deputy president, the ANC's number 2, you've got Paul Mashatile, Ronald Lamola, and Oscar Mabuyane. For secretary general, Mdumseni Ntuli. That's a name that comes up as a surprise because he didn't have the backing of his province, remember. But he's clearly managed to do it without them, to get on the ballot without them. So it's Mdumseni who's actually leading the pack too. Mdumseni versus Pomola Maswale versus Fikile Mbalula. For the position of deputy secretary general, you've got Nomvula Mokonyane versus Phoebe Potgieter. And in the position of treasurer, also very interesting, you've got Benjani Chauke. Again, a lot of ANC members asking, where does he come from? Yes, his links to the president of the ANC are well known, but there's a trust deficit. People have many, many questions about him. At some point, people are wondering if he's been in the ANC long enough to even contest. So if the electoral committee is given it a green light, it means he has. But other questions are, where's his constituency? Who are the people who put Chauke on the ballot? So he's up against Pule Mabe, and trailing behind them is Mzondile Masina. Looking at that particular post, I keep saying the Treasurer General might be fought out on the floor at conference, or Pule Mabe, Mzondile Masina, and whatever trailings are from a Andile Lungisa who did not meet the threshold might come together to take on Pejani Chauke. You never know. And then as far as the chairperson position is concerned, Gwede Mantashe, the incumbent, as I've been saying to him outgoing, he says incoming, I don't think so. I think the nominations that he's received kind of indicate that it might be the end for Gwede Mantashe. Leading that race is Stan Matabata from Limpopo. You've got Gwede Mantashe, and then you also have David Masondo. An interesting add-on, because David Masondo was described by many, not me, as a non-starter. But take from it what you want. That's what we're looking at the moment. Whether or not this will be the ballot that's printed at the conference, I'm not certain, because you have that window at the conference itself where members can nominate people from the floor. And I think that's where a lot of battles will come from. I said TG will be playing itself out from the floor. Some want to see a woman in that office, depending on which slate. Yes, slate politics are there. I don't care what the ANC's electoral committee is telling you. When you have an appearance of Dr. Willem Mkhize with Nomvula Mokonyane, Mzondile Masina, and Pumula Maswale by his side, what else is that? Walks like a duck, talks like a duck? I think it is a duck. So I'm not going to be told that there are no slates. When people like Jerry Kanokoma are backing Fikile and Mbalula the way that they are, publicly the way that they are, what is that? That's a lineup. That lineup was released a long time ago. So what I'm trying to say is be mindful of the conversation around the slates. But even those are probably going to be challenged from the floor when the ANC eventually goes to a conference. What I am certain of is there'll be a realignment of allies. People are knocking on each other's doors. There's a lot of movements across provinces. People are in Gauteng on the way to Limpopo, in what on the way to there, in KwaZulu. There's a lot of movements. So one thing's for sure for me is that there will be a realignment. People are asking for meetings with people who they never wanted to work with, people that they snubbed. So it'll be an interesting picture that eventually unfolds. So there'll be a realignment. That's the one thing. The other thing is we tend to look at branch nominations and think that's a clear determination of the way forward. In 2017, I think journalists failed to factor in the idea of delegates. Branches are not the same size. They vary. So some will be able to send a massive delegation, others won't. And that in itself adds to the complexity of what emerges, right? So because you've got the most nominations does not necessarily give you a win. The nominations, sure, I see them. I don't rate them. I think that they're not the thing to go by. It allows for people to barter a little bit better. It changes the game in terms of horse trading because you're also able to track which province supports who the most. Enters Paul Mashatile into the conversation. Now, I've always said this is Paul Mashatile's conference to lose. Some in Paul's corner will say, Mashatile's corner rather, some in Mashatile's corner will argue that he must take on the president. I don't think it's as easy as that to take on a sitting president. If you go for the jugular, you must go for gold. I don't think you must sneak up on him from the floor. That's my 5 cents. I think if you go for the jugular, you must go for gold. I've had the same criticism of Mkhize. Never mind his own scandals. I think politically speaking, Mkhize must be a little bit bolder in taking on Ramaphosa and what the flaws are. I know they said they won't negatively campaign one another, but please, it's politics. I must just say very quickly though, I think he came close to doing what I think he needs to do when he went to Ekurhuleni. He was quite direct, and he gave us a little bit more insights about what he thinks did not work. But of course, the irony there is you were part and parcel of it, right? The irony of a leader like Mkhize speaking about corruption is taking in digital vibes. So those things are quite complex. The idea that KZN and Paul Mashatile are on a collision course is an interesting one for me. Talks have definitely intensified over recent days, but I think that we must not fall for that as journalists. Yes, they might request Senzo Mchunu to come speak, almost dangling that they could maybe find another candidate for a DP. But I think eThekwini, the largest region of the ANC in the country, likes Paul Mashatile for a reason. Mind you, Mdumiseni Ntuli, who did not get the backing of his province, is from eThekwini. Do with it what you want, that's all I'm saying. I think there are questions about where the RETs are and the influence of former President Jacob Zuma. I think you see it for yourself. The nominations are available for you to look at how much people got, how many nods particular leaders got, and you can see how far he's bid in influencing for Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma or for himself as chair has gone. I think that era is gone. I think there's also an interesting thing to read around Lindiwe Sisulu. I think she actually signals the end of the dynasties as far as the ANC is concerned. We'll chat again next week.